Hi, good morning, gentlemen. We are on Kuf Lamed Tes Amud Aleph, Masechah Shabbos. We were discussing yesterday. Actually, we got off a bit of a tangent because we asked for a couple. We were saying halachas regarding straightening and other halachas regarding Shabbos, and they said, okay, halachas, two halachas regarding Shabbos, one halacha regarding Torah, and then so we got off on a little tangent about limud Torah, whether it'll be forgotten or not. And now comes another Gemara. So second line from the top on Kuf Lamed Tes Amud Aleph, Tanya. So Rabbi Yosi ben Elisha Omer in Roisa Dorish Titzaros Rabbos Ba'is Alav. If you see a generation whose sufferings are a lot, say Bodak B'Dainei Yisrael. Go out and check their judges, because the punishments of the world do not come out, but only for basically wicked, or bad judges of Jewish judges. Shemaz says, "Shimona Zayis Reishi Beis Yaakov v'Gitzai Beis Yisrael." Listen, Israel, Hamasave Mishpat Beis Kol Yishar Yakshu, who don't like, right? They hate straight justice. Right, and Tziyam will be built on blood. Yerushalayim, Bavla through iniquity, Roshev, B'Sheichad, right, and they'll take B'Sheichad Yishpatu, right? They'll take Sheichad. They'll take what's it called? They'll take bribes, right? The Kohanah, B'Mechir Yeiru, and then the Kohanim they will work with also for pay. And also the Nevi'im will also work basically by fee. In other words, they'll be very quick about Hashem Yeshenu. And then rely on Hashem, right? So in other words, everyone will be on the taking for pay. The judges, the Kohanim, right? And the Nevi'im, right? So Rishayim Hain. So they are all Rishayim. Why? So you're going to say what? They're going to depend on Hashem. In other words, these people who are crooked, who are basically there for the pay, right? They're not doing their job properly. They can't go ahead and properly, listen to Hashem. Therefore, maybe a Kodesh Baruch Hu, Aleim Shalosh Praniyos, Keneged Shalosh Averos Shaviyadim. Therefore, Hakadosh Baruch Hu will go ahead and basically punish them for the three punishments, which they did. The punishments of the judges on the take, the Kohanim on the take, and the Nevi'im on the take. As it says, Shiramar Lachein Biglachem Tzion Sadet Yecharesh. Because of you, Tzion will go ahead and be plowed. Yushalayim. Right, and Yerushalayim will also be destroyed. If a Harabai is Levamos Yar, and also Harabai will become a place of a forest, will also be destroyed. So because of the crooked judges, therefore Hakadosh Baruch Hu won't let the Shekhinah reside once again with Bnei Yisrael, until these crooked judges stop. Shneimar says Vashiva. Yadi alayich vetzav kabor sigayich vasira kol b'dilayich. So he says over there, he said that he will clean away from all those the bad people, those people who aren't straight, who are on the take, right? And then he'll remove all the those who are bad. Vashiva shayftech kavishana v'yatzech kvatchila, right? And it says over there, then he'll return the Yerushalayim the way it was. In other words, the only way to go back is to basically out those people who are on the take, those people who who have crooked judgments because they're doing it for their own financial benefits. And Amar Ula in Yerushalayim niftal b'tzedakah. Yerushalayim will only be redeemed through charity. Shneimar says tziyah b'mishpat tifdeh b'shaveh b'tzedakah. Right, it will be redeemed through tzedakah. And Amar Papa ibatle yehire batle amgushe. Right? If the hira, people who are arrogant will be removed, they'll be mevatel, they'll be nullified, they'll be gone. Then the amgushe will be gone. Right? The amgushe basically were those who caused others to do avodah zarah, and therefore they caused Hakadosh Baruch Hu to be even more distant from Bnei Yisrael. So therefore, if you get rid of the hire, those people who are the balei gaiva, then they will get rid of those the avodah zarah, ibat the dayani, but the gazri pati, right? And if they're mavatel, he says those people, I guess, who are arrogant will disappear. Then the bad judges will be mavatel. Then the gazri pati will be gone. Right? The gazri pati, right? Those people basically were other judges who basically were beat up on the Jews. So, the first part of Kabor Sigaich says over there and I will clean away, right, these bullies, right, with with cleanse, right, with soap, right, and then he'll remove all of them. In other words, so therefore, it's ibatle dayani, ibatle gazripati, dechsiv heisir Hashem mishpatayach pina oivecha. So he'll remove your judges, and then he will turn you away your enemies. So in other words, those people, those judges, they're corrupt judges, the dayanim. If you turn them away, then your enemy, those who basically cause avodah zarah, who cause Hakadosh Baruch Hu to be against you, will also cease. And Amar Rabbi Milai B'Shem Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon Ma'idich Tzivas Bazvin Shava Hashem Mater Rashayim Shevet Mishlim. What does it mean when the pasuk says by the Hashem he broke the stick of the Rashayim and the Shevet, the rod of the Mishlim, of the rulers. Shava Hashem Mater Yushalayim Elad Ha'adam Shnasa Makal Chasanim. These are the people who are wicked, right? These are the dayanim, right? That who basically do whatever the officers what the officers do. In other words, the officers basically are the ones who enforce the law, but you can't give a law if there's no one to enforce it. So if the bad people are saying, hey, you have to rule this way because this is the only way we'll enforce. So therefore, and the judges go along with the enforcers, so it's backwards. And Shevet Moishlim, it says Shevet Moishlim. Evi Tamid Chachamim Shemishbechais Hadayan. Right, those are the Tamid Chachamim, right, who's from the family of the Dayanim. In other words, the Dayanim will do their own thing. The Tamid Chacham basically will go along and basically defend that which was done by these crooked judges. And also those halachas of Tamid Chachamim that teach the halachas to what's it called? To judges who are not prepared and who are not fit. And nevertheless, they allow them to go ahead and be judges, and therefore that is on the Talmidei Chacham. And Amar Rabbi Elazar ben Malai Mishum Reish Lakish Ma'idich Sivas Basmin Ki Kapechem Nigolalu B'dam. That's what saying B'avam. Right. So it says their hands have blood in it, and there's blood in your fingers, right? And says that your lips have spoken lies, right? And your tongues have also said bad things. Those are the corrupt judges. Those are the people who do with their fingers. Those who write they're willing to write false documents, right? Those are lawyers, right? Corrupt lawyers. Those are Baladinim, basically also who are basically told by their lawyers to lie, and then they lie, so the whole entire court system is crooked and causes destruction of Israel. The Omar Rav Malai Mishun Rav Yitzchak Migdala. So Miyayim Shapirish Yosef Miachev Lo Tam Yain. From the day that Yosef Tzaddik, right, left from his brothers, he never tasted wine. It says he was, when he was in exile from his brothers, right? And so Nazir literally means exile, but he also means like a Nazir, right? Like a Nazir person who doesn't taste wine. And Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chanina, Amar, Af Hein Lo Tamu Tam. Yeah, not only the Yosef didn't have wine, but even his brothers didn't. The Chassid says, because the pasuk says, Vayishtu Vayishku Rimo. It says they drank and they became drunk, right, with him. So so it sounds like until now they did not drink. In other words, they did not drink the whole time they were done. Only when they were reunited, that's when they drank, but until then they weren't. The people say, no, says, no, maybe it means that until now they never drank to the point of intoxication, but perhaps they did drink. And finally, another limud of Rabbi Malai, V'schar v'ro v'samech v'libo. It says over there, when he was happy in his heart, when Moshe Rabbeinu was zeicha to lead, so Zachal, since he was happy for his brother, Zachal choshen mishpat alibo. Therefore, he was zeicha to become the Kohen Gadol and the choshen mishpat upon his heart. Fine. Two dots. So Sholchule b'nei Bashkar leLevi. So those people now going back to Shabbos. Those people, they said that the b'nei Bashkar to Levi kilo mahu. Right, mahu mahu. So three halachas they want to know from Levi. They want to know a kilo, a canopy. Right, we discussed a canopy which one puts, let's say, over the bed. But if it's a flat roof, and you put it up, that would be forbidden because that you're making an ohel. Right, they want to know the halacha case of that. Also, halacha when it comes to by shusa, by hops with a vineyard, is that considered to be kilayim? is that considered to be mixing two different species and growing them together in a field? And also, if someone dies, what is the halacha by burying a person on Yontif? So the Levi. So when they went, nevertheless, they're not going to answer because Levi passed away. So Amar Shmuel Rav Menashe. So he says, if you guys are smart, then I can go ahead and send them the answers. So Shalchu, he sent to them. So what did he? So Shmuel told Rav Menashe to answer them. So he says Shalchu. So he sent to them. So kilo chazarna kol tzida kilo of lemetzinu lo tzar heter. So he said, no, I searched everywhere. I cannot find a tzad heter. There is no tzad heter to go ahead and allow a kila to be built on Shabbos. The Gemara says, what do you mean? We saw yesterday, if you have a kila that was, let's say, tied to a rope, right, and it's already in its position, and you just have to basically swing it across right by the rope, that would be mutter, that type of kila, because it's already sort of, the structure is already built in. So he says, Lafisha B'nai Torah, he says they're not B'nai Torah. Those people really aren't God-fearing. Therefore, if I allow this, they might come to go ahead and build a canopy right away. And similarly, Kashusa B'kama Ubuva, he says also hops, to grow them in a vineyard is also considered to be Kilayim, Aiv, L'Shlochu, K'Rabi Tarfon. Why didn't you teach the L'Chol like Tarfon? Actually, there is a tzad heter. The tiny little Raisa says, Kishus, when it comes to these hops, Rabbi Tarfon, Aimer, ain't Kilayim B'Kerem. There is no such thing, according to Rabbi Tarfon, there's no Kilayim B'Kerem. No, it's not considered to be two different species, the hops and the grapes and the vines, and therefore we mutter. And the Chachamim say, no, Kilayim, there is Kilayim B'Kerem, B'Kaimelon, Kol HaMekil Ba'aretz, whoever is Mekil in Eretz Yisrael, the halacha is like him in Chutzlar. So since they were sending him from Bashkar, which was Chutzlar, so therefore the Chari we mutter over there. So the Fish in B'nai Torah, he says, no, they're not B'nai Torah. If I go ahead and match this, then perhaps they're going to go ahead and allow other cases of either kilayim or other cases of heter based on this, and therefore I'm not going to give him this, this heter. And Machazrav, also that's Haiman the boy Lemiska Shuza Bekarma Lizra. So Rav said, whoever wants to go ahead and put hops, to go ahead and plant hops in a vineyard can go ahead and do it. And Rav Amu Chasida Managi, however, he would go ahead and give malchus to anybody who did it. And Rav Masharsha Yaivle Peruta Latina Nachri Vizarle. He would go ahead and pay a young Nachri to go ahead and plant hops in a vineyard for him, but he wouldn't do it himself. Why doesn't he give it to a little Jewish kid? So he says, no, Asilam Yisrael. Perhaps when he'll grow up, he'll continue to go ahead and do it. So therefore, he doesn't want a Jewish person to do it, an older Jewish person or a younger Jewish person, because the younger Jewish person might come to go ahead and grow older and do it. And therefore, since it's not really so, it's gray. So therefore, he said, okay, I'd rather give a Goyish child to go ahead and do it. So why do you give a Goyish child? Just give it to a Goy, will do it. So people, they say, if you saw another adult do it, they'll assume that any adult can do it, and perhaps then maybe a Jew will do it, and therefore we problem. Now, regarding the third question, he says, Meis beyond of Mahu. So Meis Shachlu, Meis Lisaskube, Lo Yehudim, Lo Yaramai. Lo beyond of Risham, Lo beyond of Sheni. Says the first halach, he said, answer them, he said, no, the Meis, someone dies, you cannot go ahead and deal with it, not on the first day of Yontif, not even on the second day of Yontif, which was kept in Golos, like we have. So Aini is true. Rabbi Yehuda Bar Shila, some Rabbi Yasi, Uvda Avi Bebe Knishta Demon, Beyond Tavam, some of the Shabbos. One time there was a Yontif back. It was back to back. It was Yontif Shabbos, right? And the Maisa was in the base Knesset of Demon, right? It was some of the Shabbos. The law Yadina Im Lefnem Elchareb. We don't know whether it was the Yontif was either on Friday or if it was on Sunday, but either way, there was 2 days of the mace was not buried. Let it go ahead and have the grave buried. Let it go ahead by the Ammin, right? The other by other nations. So you see that on the Yontif, right? Because of 2 days, they didn't want the body to go ahead and go bad, and they want to go ahead and bury and show cover to the mace, as quick as possible. They did it on Yontif for 2 days. Amarava mace. Even also not only on that, Rava said, mace, beyond the Rishon is Haskubo, Amin, beyond the Sheni is Haskubo Yisrael. A mace, if it's the first day of Yontif, then go ahead and dig a grave and get ready, right, and prepare it, right? And if it's Yontif Sheni, then even, right, even Jews can do it on the second day of Yontif, right? I feel beyond the Sheni Shal Rosh Hashanah. Ma'ashen came and said, even Rosh Hashanah, which is really we consider to be more of a one long Yontif. Nevertheless, we allow on the second day of Rosh Hashanah for one to be buried, as opposed to an egg, right? As opposed to an egg where we have different halachas in terms of something being born, whether it's considered to be a second day or not. But when it comes to a mace, it's definitely considered to be a second day, and therefore we're make it. So why didn't he give him that kula? Lafish ain't a b'nei Torah. They're not b'nei Torah. Once again, if we give them a heter here, then perhaps they'll go ahead and maybe do it on Shabbos or other cases, and therefore they not want to give a heter, but there really was a heter. And Omar Rav Avin Bar Rav Huna Amar Rav Chama Bar Guria Misati v'Adam B'Kilo v'Kas Kaseha v'Yaitz L'Shasaran v'Shabbos v'Nechayishish. Now, normally the canopy, I guess, is tied up on the posts of a bed because it's like a cover above the bed, and therefore there's strings hanging from it. So a person wants to go ahead and wrap himself and use it, let's say, as a coat, right? This kilo, right? Use it as a coat. He can go ahead and he's allowed to go wrap himself and go out and just wrap him. There's strings hanging from the corners, so the strings are not a big deal. It's not considered to be carrying. So but why is it any different than Rav Huna? If a person goes out with tzitzis, let's say a person has one of the strings that are cut on tzitzis. Not kosher tzitzis, like you're supposed to have the four strings that's tied. Let's say one of them is cut, let's say all the way on the top, and therefore makes it apostles his tzitzis according to every shita. And he goes out and Shisa Rabbim, he's actually carrying the strings. That's called carrying, right? It's not just strings hanging from he's indifferent to. That's called carrying. He's chai v'chatas. So why there's a chai v'chatas? But we just said when it comes to a canopy, right, little strings hanging from the corners of the canopy, it's not a big deal. So when it says no, tzitzis, the gabi talis chashiv v'loy batli. Since the tzitzis on the talis, the main reason why you wear that talis is for the tzitzis, therefore not mavato, and therefore it's like you're carrying them. However, hani loy chashiv batli. But over here, since they're not chashiv, right, you're not wearing this canopy because you want to carry the strings. You're wearing the canopy because you're cold or whatever it is, right? Because it's cool, right? Now, so therefore, that would not be considered to be carrying out in the Shisa Rabbim. And a person is allowed to go ahead and do harama, right? Harama is basically trickery. He's allowed to go ahead and do trickery in order to use a strainer that we discussed as he pouring the wine through the strainer on Shabbos. We had a whole issue of you're not allowed to go ahead and put the strainer on, right? We discussed because it's perhaps it's oil rye, or another opinion was because this is the way it's done during the weekday, uvda dechol, and if something is uvda dechol, right, then he might come to go ahead and strain. So therefore, don't put it on in the first place, the strainer. But he says, you want to do a trick, you can use it for putting, the strainer to hold pomegranates. The and then after he goes ahead, he does it for pomegranates. Then he can go ahead and use it for his wine purposes. And now Rav Ashi, who the Talaba reminded, but however, he has to go ahead and first put the pomegranates in it. He can't just say, I'm doing it for pomegranates and not do it. Rather, he has to go ahead and put the pomegranates in. So Gemara says, is that the case? What's the difference that we learned at Raisa? The person's allowed to go ahead and brew beer for the purposes of Chol Moed. However, if it's for after Chol Moed, if you want it for Chol Moed, you're going to have it now during Chol Moed. You can go ahead and brew beer. You can go ahead and make beer. But you're going to make now during Chol Moed for after, then it would be Aser. So Echad Sheichat Tzvayim Echad Sheichat Tzarim, whether it's date beer or whether it is barley beer. And Afa Pi Sheish Lahem Yashan Marim Sheitzim Min HaChadash. Even though you have old beer, nevertheless, you're allowed to go ahead and do a trick, and use from the new. So over here, it doesn't say you specifically have to show they're using for the new, but by the old case, by the pomegranates, it said you have to use the pomegranates. So our answer is no. Hasan Mucha Milsa. Over there, right? It's not obvious, right, that he's doing it, right? Over there, that's not when he's going ahead and making beer, right? So he's doing it during Chol Moed, right? However, here, but over here, if a person goes ahead and puts up a strainer, who says it's for the purpose of pomegranates? Why would he use a strainer for pomegranates? He would use the strainer for straining. So therefore, when it comes to beer, I have no reason to believe that it's for later on after Yontif, so therefore it's fine now. But when it comes to the strainer, then if you're going to use the strainer for pomegranates, then you have to show they're using for pomegranates because that's not the normal use of putting up a strainer. And Amrle Rabbanan Rav Ashi, Chazi, so says the Rabbanan Rav Ashi, Chazi Mar Haitzum and Rabbanan, Rav Huna ben Rebbe Chiyun Shmei. I once saw a certain Talmid Chacham, and Rav Huna ben Rebbe Chiyun was his name. Rabbanan is going to say Rav Huna Rebbe Chalvon Shmei. Once said that was his name. The Shakel brought the Tuma Umanach Babarza Dedan. Right? He took a garlic right? And he put inside a barrel, right? He plugged up a barrel with a garlic. Now, one is not allowed to go ahead and plug up a barrel. So why is that? Do it. I wasn't intending to plug the barrel, right? Rather, I was just trying to store my clothes somewhere, and therefore, by putting it there, that was where I stored it, and therefore, that was not a problem. I think that was not a kavana. Once again, that was a case of harama. That was a case of basically using a sort of a trick, right? And the Azil, the Naim, the Marbro, also another Maisa where he went to fell asleep on a boat. Right? He went took a nap on a boat. And the boat traveled across the river. He woke up and he went to the other side and he watched his vegetables, which he wanted to do on Shabbos. The Amar he says, I didn't intend to go ahead and go on a boat to cross the river. You're not allowed to do that midrabanan, right? But I went in the boat to take a nap, right? So he went in the boat to take a nap. So since I didn't intend to go ahead and do anything else, so to go ahead, my intention wasn't to go ahead and cross, wink, wink, right? Therefore, it would be mutter. And Amalu, Harama Kamart, you're talking about Haramas, you're talking about tricks, right? Harama Midrabani, this is only Midrabana, that's Super Midrabana, as the maybe the Chachil. But if a person is indeed a Tamachacham, special Tamachacham, then the harama is only what to do, I think, is midrabanan, and therefore there is no worry that they're going to go ahead and violate. So therefore, they don't. Of course, the Talmid Chachamim are allowed to go ahead and use harama in these cases. Fine. Mishnah says, "Noisnin mayim al gav hashmana b'shil yishid solo." Now we discussed before. Then you strain, you have the dregs from the wine, but there's still some wine inside these little dregs. So if you pour water on top of these, on the dregs, then it actually will extract some of the wine. So you're allowed to go ahead and pour water over the wine, or over these dregs. And you're also allowed to go ahead and basically filter, right, strain, not as good of a strainer, right, this is more for thicker, right, wider pieces, through sudar, right, sudar is like a cloth, and kugos mitzvahs, and also through palm twigs, right? So these, that's also another way of straining. Now, there's different ways. Now, the number one important way is that you cannot go ahead and make something that was basically not drinkable to drinkable. So if it was something that either doesn't do a good job, or if the wine was already drinkable before, so then the straining system, right, doesn't change the wine from undrinkable to drinkable. That's going to be the number one rule. The number one rule is you're not allowed to strain wine which is undrinkable to drinkable. So now, either that which we allow is either going to be a case of where it was drinkable before and after, it just makes it a little better, or that basically it was undrinkable before and it was undrinkable after. The Neisnin, now next day, excuse me, the Neisnin, Beitza, Besanez, Shulchardal. You're allowed to go ahead and put an egg in a strainer for mustard. Excuse me. On Shabbos, it was already. I guess the strainer was up, and he's allowed to go ahead and put it on Shabbos, and it's not considered to be straining out. We'll have to soon see that case. The Eisin Inumlin b'Shabbos, you're allowed to go ahead and make this drink of Inumlin on Shabbos, which is also some sort of concoction. Well, since in the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda Omer b'Shabbos b'Kais. That which you said you can strain, he said only on Shabbos is a kos, a small amount. B'yontav b'login and Yontav, you can go ahead and make an entire bottle, and v'moed b'chavis, and even at Chol Moed, you can go ahead and make a barrel. Depends on the guest. If you have a lot of people there, even on Shabbos, you're allowed to do more. If you have fewer people on Chol Moed, you do less. So it depends who is it for. So let's see the Gemara. Zok the Gemara. So the Gemara says, Omar Ziri, Naisin Adam Yayin Salul Umayim Salul Mesechem Ashurez B'Shabbos Ben Echaysh. A person allowed to go ahead and put clear wine and clear water in a strainer on Shabbos, and then it's not Ben Echaysh, and there's no Isser over there. Aval Achurin Lo, but you can't go ahead and put unclear liquids in there, because unclear liquids are basically through the strainer will cause it to become clear. And therefore you're straining it, you're remasaking it, you're making the wine, and therefore that would be forbidden to do. So maybe a person can go ahead and he can stir a barrel if there's wine, and even though it's the yain shmara, the yain and it's and all the different parts of the grapes are in it, and the shmara, right, and the skins and the lees. But nice thing, let's say, Chamashameres, B'Shabbos, V'Nechayshis. So now to go ahead and put in a strainer on Shabbos. So we see there clearly there, it says you can go ahead and put in the strainer. So that was talking about somebody who drinks by the wine presses. Someone who's by the wine presses, basically, he's not so careful as to what he drinks. He even drinks, sort of, murky, unclear wine. So therefore, by him putting in a strainer, he would have drank it before, but drink it afterwards. Therefore, it's not being masakin. So in a case of where a person would drink it before or afterwards, there's no problem. But if somebody who wouldn't have drank it before and then drinks it afterward, that was the case where it would be, that was the case of, according to Ziri, where Churin was Aser. Then we said Mishnah, Mesadanis, a yain, and the Sudar, you go ahead and filter through a Sudar, through a cloth, and Amar Avshin Barachil, Bavad Shala Yasegub. You shouldn't make a hole, you make a hole, and that's more like Uvda the Chol, that's more like we do during the weekday, and therefore that would be forbidden. Okay, and then we said Kfifas Mitzvahs, and also to go ahead and to put it, strain it in the twigs. So it says over there, Amar Rab Chia Barashi, Amar Rab Uvashla Yagbia B'Mekarasha Kli Tefach. However, you shouldn't go ahead and lift it off the ground, I guess, in other words, where it's draining into. And Amar Rav, and Rav said another has Hi Perukna Pelge the Chuva Shari, says that which is the shmata that was going ahead and used, you're going to go ahead and put it on the part of the opening of the barrel. However, Akula Kuba Aser, but you can't go ahead and put on the entire opening because then it'll be he would be filtering it. And some say because of the cloth you can go ahead and do schita, you would squeeze out afterwards. Others say it's because of uda dechol. And Amar Papa says Papa lo nihadik inish tziniasa bepume de kuznek bechavisa mishum de mixi k'meshameres. A person should not go ahead and put straw or something, or wood chips on top of the barrel, because then it looks like if you pour it out, then it looks like it's filtering because the wood chips on the other side would hold it. It looks like he's straining it. And debate Rav Papa. However, in the house of Rav Papa, Shafu Shicha Mimana Lamana. They used to go ahead and pour very slowly from one to another. And if you pour very slowly, basically, the heavy pieces, sort of stay at the bottom, and only like the liquids come out. But what about the you're only taking out like the little drips? It seems like you're separating one from the other. So Gemara says, no, it says right? Since they didn't go ahead and they didn't care about the little different pieces. So therefore, in the house of Rav Papa, it wasn't a problem because they weren't trying to separate one from the other. Therefore, it was mutter to go ahead and pour it slowly like that from cleat to cleat. All right, we'll stop here at the 2 dots. Everyone should have a wonderful day and enjoy the beautiful weather. Shkaya. All right, bye-bye.
Shkaya.